Hello there, Mr. Sutton here. This is the Pre-Cal Honors 3-3 Part 1 Homework Solutions on adding and subtracting rational expressions. To add these rational expressions together, let's first look to see if we have a common denominator. Looks like we do. We have a denominator of 25 in each of these. So when we add these, we're just going to keep that denominator of 25, and we're simply going to add the numerators. 3x plus 2x is 5x. And then let's see if we can reduce this at all. Well, 5 and 25, we can definitely reduce those. That leaves us with a 1 up here next to the x, and this 25, dividing that by 5, that's now going to be a 5 downstairs. So then we end up with x over 5. For this rational expression, to add these together, we need a common denominator. These have different denominators, so I'm going to have to find one that matches everything in both of these. So taking a look at my first denominator, I'm at least going to need an a and a b in my LCD. And looking at the next denominator, that needs an a, but we already have the a covered here in the LCD. We only have to put a single a in there unless we had a factor of a appearing more than once in the same denominator. Since we have at most one a in each of these denominators, ab will cover everything. All right, so this first fraction then is fine the way it is. We can leave it as 6 over ab. But this next fraction, to get ab as the denominator here, we're going to have to multiply by the foo b over b, fancy form of 1. That'll give us, let's see, we have 6 over ab plus 8b over ab. And now we have the same denominator. So we can keep that denominator of ab and just add the numerators together. But since 6 and 8b are not like terms, the best I can do is just to write 6 plus 8b. Can't really combine those. And although you could factor a 2 out of this, doing so is not going to leave you anything that'll cancel out with the denominator, so this is as good as it gets. For this problem, to simplify this and subtract, we need a common denominator. The good news is we've already got one. They're both x squared minus 49s. So we can just go straight to the step of putting this all over one big denominator of x squared minus 49. So I'm going to actually write all this out because I'm being super careful here. I feel like there's got to be some trick going on if it's that easy. So we have the x minus 40 from the first numerator, and then this negative has to get distributed to that second numerator. So we have a minus 23, and then minus minus gives me a plus 8x. So that's where a lot of people are going to go astray on this one, is missing that second sign switch. All right, so now let's combine like terms. So we've got an x, we've got a positive 8x, that's a 9x in my numerator. And then we've got a negative 40 minus 23, that's negative 63. And at this point, here's another place where people might miss something. You should always check to see if you can factor and reduce or cancel after you've combined fractions into one fraction, especially by adding or subtracting. So in the numerator, it looks like, and we're going to factor everything actually, in the numerator it looks like we can factor out a 9. That leaves me with an x minus 7. In the denominator, x squared minus 49 is very factorable. That's basically a squared minus b squared. So we're going to put this in a plus b, a minus b form, basically square root these and put a plus and minus parentheses. So we've got an x plus the square root of 49 is 7, and an x minus 7. Well, these x minus 7s can cancel, so that leaves us with 9 over x plus 7. To add these fractions together, I need to get a common denominator. So taking a look at the factors I've already got down there, let's look at the 6 and the 4 first. Smallest number that 6 and 4 both go into. Well, that's going to be 12. So we need a 12 in our LCD, and we also need a v to cover those v's that are in the denominator. Now I'm going to multiply each fraction by whatever it needs to get me 12v in the denominator. My first fraction, we've already got the v, but this 6 needs to be a 12. So I'll multiply that by 2 over 2. And then for this next one, to get 4 to be 12, I need to multiply by 3 over 3. And the v is already there, so nothing needs to be done about that. Let's actually multiply these factors out now, these fractions. So for our first one, I've got 5 times 2 is 10 over 12v. For the next one, 7 times 3 is 21 over, again, 12v. We're trying to get that LCD down there. Since I have the same denominator, I can actually add the numerators and just keep the denominator the same. So we have a 12v downstairs and a 10 plus 21 upstairs, that's 31. Well, these can't be reduced at all, so this is as good as it gets. To simplify this expression by subtracting, we have to get a common denominator first. So let's take a look first at the coefficients, 9, 2, and 5. What's the smallest number that these all go into? Well, let's just take the biggest two, 9 and 5. So the smallest number those both go into is going to be 45. 2 doesn't go into 45 though, but if I double 45 for 90, 2 does go into 90, and I think that's the smallest we can do. So our LCD has a 90 in it, and also we're going to need a W to cover these two W's here. So now I'm going to multiply each fraction by whatever it needs to get 90W. For my first fraction, to turn 9 into 90W, I need to multiply it by 10W over itself. And again, I'm just multiplying by 1 here, so not really changing the value, just making it look a little different. My next fraction, I need to multiply this by 45 over 45 to get 90W. And for my last fraction, to get 5 to be a 90, we have to multiply that actually by 18 over itself. So multiplying that out, in the first fraction we've got 11 times 10W in the numerator, that's 110W, over 90W, which we should get 90W because that is the LCD we were doing this to get. In the next one here, 7 times 45, I just happen to know that's 315 because I do a lot with trigonometry, and 45 is a big number in trig. So that's 315 over 90W, and that's a negative fraction still. And then we got 6 times 18. Well, let's see. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 8 is 48. 60 plus 48 is 108. So we're subtracting 108 over, this is also going to be 90W. And combining like terms, well, actually, we've got a common denominator of 90W first of all. Now, combining like terms, we've got only a single term with W, that's the 110W, so that doesn't get combined. But we have a negative 315 and a negative 108. That's going to be a negative 423. And it looks like this is as good as it's going to get. No common factors. Are there? Nope. 423 is divisible by 3, but 110 isn't. So yeah, we can't really do any better than that.